Well, you must have known this was going to happen eventually, but it's time to have a look at the Opticor Vandal. If we go to the actual weapon, it has a quicker charge rate, quicker fire rate, bigger magazine, better crit chance, better crit multiplier, better reload, better status chance, more than or less than half of the impact, a little bit more slash, and the puncture. It doesn't make sense for them to have done this. There has to be something about this that I am missing. Otherwise, this weapon makes no sense in it existing, considering the standard one does more than twice the damage than this thing does. Charge rate, fire rate, crit, status, all of those things are meaningless when it does half the damage. Okay, it does charge twice as quick, but it does half the damage. Ooh, and let's not forget, it comes with a polarity. 1V. Vandals usually come with at least 2. Or none. But 1 and half the damage? The charge rate on this is going to have to be catastrophically quick for this to make any kind of sense. This thing is actually really interesting. After using it for a short period of time, I won't lie. Yeah, the charge rate of 0.6 is significantly more different than the 2.0, and it acted like a completely different weapon to the point of you barely had to charge it. You can press it for a split second and then let go and it's fully charged and it fires. I modded my Opticor to do this and only got it to a 0.93 if I remember correctly, and that's using Prime Shred and Speed Trigger, and then I gave up. This thing fires faster than that. It's standard. Throw in, I've almost forgotten the name of it, Point Strike, it will get a 60% crit chance. Throw in Vital Sense, 5.7 times crit multiplier. You can throw in whatever combination of damage you want. At the minute I have this set up for gas, which did a significant amount of damage. The only weird thing here is, yes, I have the Vigilant armament in there with Split Chamber, which means that it has a, 90% multiplier for Split Chamber with a 60% for Vigilant armaments, which means it's 150%, which means it's either going to fire 2, 2.5, maybe 3 beams at once. The only reason I didn't go the whole heavy caliber route with it is, yes, heavy caliber will add 165% damage, and it is a noticeable damage difference. I did actually have this in here. I swapped it out for Firestorm, which improves the blast radius. It adds a 25% radius, so I basically built this more for puncture and crowd control, because it does have a 1.0 punch through, which is about the same as the normal Opticor. But with heavy caliber, adding that 165% damage, yes, you see a significant difference when you can hit enemies at range. I was not willing to sacrifice damage to... I was not willing to sacrifice range to gain damage. I like the fact that this thing, when you aim at something, it actually hits it. With a beam weapon, yeah, it kind of makes up for it, and yes, the reason that Firestorm is in there is eventually I want to actually get a hold of a Riven for this. I don't have one. Heavy caliber should go in there, or a Riven, format to whatever polarity you want to form it for, and then you can make it much more powerful. This was more of a long range style build that I had on it, but with that V on there you could actually put heavy caliber on, and this thing could actually be really amazing. I mean, it's kind of okay as I have it, but with heavy caliber on there, or a Riven that has more than 165% damage and whatever other perks it has to it, yeah, it's the 0.60 charge rate. It may do a lot less damage than the normal Opticor does, but yeah, this thing is way, way better than the normal Opticor just because it fires more. it fires quicker. You can fire more of it. You can deal damage quicker. It more than likely has a higher DPS than the actual Opticor does, and as much as I think I've had it at the beginning part of this video, I may have cut it. I've joked for years about the Opticor Prime. As much as I would love to see that come, this is a great stepping stone towards that. It may come one day, probably not, but as a Vandal, this is actually one to try and get your hands on. And luckily, for some weird, bizarre reason, they've added time to the event, so there's still lots of time to get this. There was 4 days left, then it went to there's a week. This is one of the reasons that this video is actually later than expected. I was waiting to see this weapon will be available on console in the next week or so. It's already been sent to cert, so I thought I'll wait, see what happens there. They've extended this, so I'll land it in the middle. This event should be over this week. It's been extended to next week, so there is still time to get this, and honestly, getting to those 100 may be a bit painful, it may be a bit grindy, the enemies may be a bit hard, but wow, this weapon was actually worth it. So we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch yous next time.